Imagine watching a company just, bleed $33 million in operating losses over the course of 12 months.
Right, which sounds like an absolute disaster.
It does. But then, while that's happening, its stock skyrockets 2,000% to $181 a share. I mean, your first instinct as an investor is probably to just run away.
Yeah, because it defies every traditional rule of gravity in the stock market.
Exactly. But your mission today, looking at this stack of notes we have, is to unpack a mystery that is actively breaking those traditional valuation models. Today is May 26, 2026, and we are diving into a comprehensive investment script detailing the Q1 fiscal 2026 earnings of Applied Optoelectronics.
Or, as the ticker says, AAOI. I think we'll just refer to them as AOI today.
Yeah, AOI keeps it simple. And the magnitude of this anomaly, it really becomes even sharper when you zoom out, because a $10,000 investment in AOI 5 years ago,
Blank for it?
it sits at roughly $210,000 today.
That is just wild.
Right. The stock went from $13 a share in mid-2024 to where it sits now. And this is all while posting a completely meaningless price-to-earnings ratio because, well, there simply are no earnings.
Right, there's no E in the PE ratio. Traditional value investors look at this income statement and they just see a company bleeding cash. Yet somehow, the market is valuing it like a mega cap tech giant.
Okay, let's unpack this. I look at this dynamic and it reminds me of like a sports franchise.
That sports franchise.
Yeah, hear me out. It's like a sports franchise that has been losing money and hasn't won a championship in years, yet they are completely selling out future stadium tickets.
Oh, because everyone knows they just drafted a once-in-a-generation rookie.
Exactly. The market is pricing in the future, not the past. They're buying tickets for the rookie.
What's fascinating here is that the market is paying a massive premium for an undeniable real-time inflection in operating leverage. The trailing numbers, the ones showing all that red ink, they belong to a different era.
So they're looking past it.
Entirely. What is being priced in right now is the sheer physical momentum of the AI hardware boom. Institutional buyers see the acceleration of a turnaround that is quite literally playing out on the factory floor right now.
But, I mean, if you're going to trust a 2,000% rally on a company that hasn't even turned a profit yet, you really have to understand the severe trauma this company survived.
Yeah, the scar tissue, as they call it.
Right. The history of AOI is not some clean, upward trending chart. It is a brutal survival story. And that scar tissue is exactly what makes institutional investors so cautious today, but it also makes this current comeback so dramatic.
To fully grasp that skepticism, the cloud that shadowed AOI for years, we have to revisit the period between 2018 and 2021.
The dark ages for them.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
During that window before the crash, AOI was seemingly on top of the world. They were the lead dominant supplier of 100 gigabit optical transceivers to Amazon Web Services.
Wow. So they had the hyperscale cloud market locked down.
They did. They had captured it entirely.
Until Amazon decided they just didn't need them anymore.
Right. Amazon made a strategic shift away from AOI as its primary supplier, and the financial collapse that followed was, well, it was violent.
I mean, revenue didn't just dip. It plummeted from $382 million down to $186 million.
Cut in half.
More than half, really. And they had this healthy operating profit of $54 million, which just completely evaporated and swung to a negative $70 million hole.
And the stock cratered from $97 down to $8.
$8, which brings up, the most glaring question for anyone looking at this deep dive today. Wait, if a single customer leaving can crater the stock from 97 to 8, how can investors trust this current 2,000% rally?
It's the classic fool me once scenario.
Exactly. If I'm looking at this, I'm asking, what's actually different in the numbers this time? It can't just be a promise of future AI orders.
No, it's not just a promise. The structural difference is surfacing in a very specific metric called the R40 score.
Okay, the rule of 40.
Right. It's this ruthless benchmark used to measure the health of tech hardware and software companies. You basically take a company's year-over-year revenue growth rate, and you add its operating margin.
And you want that combined score to be, what, positive 40% or higher?
Exactly. If you hit 40 or above, you have a highly efficient, thriving growth engine. But as recently as the third quarter of 2024, AOI's R40 score was a dismal minus 19%.
So they were shrinking and losing money simultaneously.
Yeah, the worst of both worlds.
Right.
But fast forward to the quarter they just reported, Q1 2026. That score swung from -19 to a staggering plus 43%.
Wow.
And it gets better. The internal estimates for next quarter have it hitting plus 93%.
Plus 93. Okay, so the market isn't blindly trusting the future, it's buying that velocitor. Because going from -19 to positive 93 in under 2 years, I mean, that requires a fundamental shift in the underlying business.
It does. And they are achieving that velocity by riding two separate overlapping waves right now.
Yeah, looking at the notes, the first wave is almost purely survival infrastructure, right? The cable TV broadband upgrade cycle.
Right, known in the industry as DSCSIS 4.0.
DSCSIS 4.0, because cable companies are under massive pressure from fiber optic startups right now. To compete, they have to push multi-gigabit speeds over their existing copper coaxial networks.
Which is not easy to do.
No, it's not. They do it by buying specialized amplifiers from AOI, and that legacy segment alone nearly tripled last year. It basically provided the cash flow life support to keep the lights on.
Exactly. The DSCSI 4.0 upgrades acted as a financial bridge. It got them off the floor and allowed them to self-fund the infrastructure needed for the second wave.
Which is the explosive AI data center optical ramp. And that brings us to the physical reality of the AI revolution.
Right, because we hear so much about AI software, the algorithms, the trillion parameter large language models.
ChatGPT, Midjourney, all of that.
Right, but you cannot train those models without intensely complex physical hardware. And the cornerstone of that hardware is the optical transceiver,
Which accounted for 43% of their fiscal 25 revenue. So to understand why AOI is suddenly winning these massive contracts, we have to kind of step away from the balance sheet and onto the physical factory floor in Sugar Land, Texas.
Let's do it. What exactly are they building there?
Well, I always think of optical transceivers as the optic nerves of an AI data center. Like when you walk into a hyperscale facility, you see massive clusters of GPUs, thousands of them just running calculations.
But GPUs speak in electrical signals.
Right. And if you try to push that massive volume of electrical data across a huge warehouse using traditional copper wires, the electrical resistance generates so much heat it would literally melt the cables.
Plus, the signal degrades almost instantly over long distances.
Exactly. So to solve the heat and bandwidth bottlenecks, you have to convert that electrical data into light.
Into the transceiver.
Yes. It's this little plug-in module that sits at the edge of the server rack. It takes the electrical pulse from the GPU, instantly converts it into laser light, and shoots that data across fiber optic cables at the speed of light to another rack of servers.
Where another transceiver catches it and turns it back into electricity.
Bingo. Without those optic nerves, the entire AI cluster goes blind. The GPUs just sit there idle, waiting for data.
Now, here is where the story pivots from a generic tech explanation into AOI's specific competitive moat. The source material notes this moat is narrow, but it relies on a very specific critical material.
Indium phosphide.
Right. If you look at the broader competitive landscape, giants like Lumentum and Coherent they dominate the market. However, AOI's CEO recently noted that those competitors are completely booked.
Wait, completely booked?
Yeah. The bottleneck isn't assembling the actual transceivers. The bottleneck is sourcing the lasers that go inside them. The whole industry is facing a severe laser shortage, and most competitors rely heavily on external Asian foundries to build those components.
Okay, but here's a dumb question. Why not just use silicon? The entire computing industry is built on silicon.
It's a fair question. Silicon is magnificent for conducting electricity and performing logic calculations, but it is an indirect band gap semiconductor.
Meaning what, practically?
Meaning, when you push energy through silicon to try and create light, it is horribly inefficient. It wastes the vast majority of that energy by emitting heat instead of photons.
And in an ultra-dense AI server rack, excess heat is your biggest enemy.
Exactly. Indium phosphide, on the other hand, is a direct band gap material. It converts electrons into photons almost perfectly, which creates this incredibly powerful, clean, cool light.
But working with indium phosphide is notoriously difficult, right? It requires very specialized fabrication facilities.
It does. And here's the key. AOI doesn't have to wait in line at an external foundry in Asia because they have an in-house indium phosphide laser fab running right there in Sugar Land, Texas.
So they are fully vertically integrated. They make the lasers and they assemble the modules.
Yes. And that vertical integration introduces a massive geopolitical advantage. AOI is targeting to have over 50% of its capacity based in the U.S. by the end of 2027.
Which is huge, because if you are Microsoft or Google or Meta, you are committing tens of billions of dollars to build out these AI data centers. Your nightmare scenario is a trade war or a tariff spike or some supply chain blockade in Asia that halts your entire build because you can't get lasers.
Right. The Texas manufacturing footprint is a direct answer to those sourcing anxieties. It guarantees delivery of critical infrastructure regardless of what's happening geopolitically.
Here's where it gets really interesting, but also a bit confusing to me. They are up against absolute manufacturing giants like Foxconn.
Right.
Foxconn practically invented the concept of ruthless, cheap manufacturing scale. How does a single factory in Texas hold off massively capitalized Asian rivals?
Well, the hyperscalers are willing to pay a premium for AOI's transceivers specifically as an insurance policy. It's about risk mitigation, not just the lowest unit cost.
Ah, I see. And because of that protected U.S. manufacturing base, we just witnessed a literal tipping point in the Q1 2026 earnings. This was the moment the AI story stopped being a PowerPoint slide and became actual hard revenue.
Let's see the numbers.
They hit $151 million in revenue, which is up 51% year over year. It's their fourth straight record quarter. Management raised full-year guidance to over $1.1 billion.
And crucially, they achieved the first volume shipments of their next-generation 800 gigabit modules.
Yes, getting those 800G modules out the door proves they can execute at the cutting edge.
But, the reason the market aggressively repriced the stock isn't just the 800G shipments. It is the unprecedented visibility into the generation that follows it.
The 1.6 terabit architecture.
Exactly.
Let's contextualize 1.6 terabits per second for a second, because the term gets thrown around in these earnings calls and it kind of loses its meaning. We are talking about streaming a 4K movie here.
No, not even close.
To saturate a single 1.6 terabit connection, you would essentially need to download the entire library of 4K content on Netflix in a fraction of a second.
That's almost hard to visualize.
It's insane. But the AI industry requires this scale because the newest generation of AI switching chips process data so violently fast that anything less than a 1.6T optic nerve just creates a massive traffic jam.
And the order book ALI just revealed for this 1.6T equipment is staggering. They already have a $200 million order deliverable this year in 2026.
Just for the 1.6T.
Just for that. And looking ahead to 2027, management is targeting over $2 billion in 1.6T deliveries alone.
$2 billion. So what does this all mean for the manufacturing floor? Building a $2 billion pipeline of hyperspeed lasers requires incredible flexibility. My initial thought was, okay, they're going to need to build entirely new factories for each generation.
Which would take years and cost a fortune.
Right. But the source notes something amazing about their automated assembly line. It's like a car factory that can instantly switch from making sedans to supercars just by changing the final inspection. The same Texas assembly line builds the older 400G modules, the 800G modules, and the 1.6T modules on the exact same equipment. Only the final test differs.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that manufacturing flexibility is the key to solving the company's oldest and deepest vulnerability.
Customer concentration.
Exactly. Because they can pivot production seamlessly to meet different demands, they have successfully diversified their client base. AOI formally disclosed that they now have 3 distinct hyperscale customers, each accounting for over 10% of total revenue.
And they have a 4th customer negotiating a multi-year deal, plus a 5th in late-stage qualification. So they are systematically neutralizing the risk that almost destroyed them in 2018.
Right. The Amazon dependency risk is finally fading.
Yeah.
The narrative arc here is certainly compelling. They have the advanced technology, the geopolitical positioning, and the diversified order book. But $2 billion in targeted revenue is just a promise. Executing on that promise requires defying the laws of manufacturing physics. And this introduces the execution tightrope.
Yeah, let's look at the brutal capacity ramp they are facing, because this is where I have to heavily push back on the hype. Right now, AOI is producing roughly 100,000 units a month.
Okay.
By the end of this year, they need to scale that output to 650,000 units a month, and by 2027, the target is 930,000.
So they are attempting to scale output by more than 6 times in less than 12 months.
Yes. And if I look at their recent gross margins, they actually dropped from 31.4% down to 29.2% recently. In any hardware business, speed and quality are natural enemies. Aren't they going to break the machine by running it this fast? I mean, dropping margins while ramping 6x seems like a recipe for shipping defective units.
This raises an important question about execution risk. It is the single biggest vulnerability in the bull thesis right now. But that margin compression is a direct symptom of what the semiconductor industry calls yield tuning.
Yield tuning.
Yeah. When you spin up a brand new manufacturing line for an incredibly complex product like an 800G transceiver, the margin of error is virtually non-existent. You are slicing indium phosphide wafers at nanometer precision.
So a microscopic calibration error on a new machine ruins an entire batch of lasers.
Exactly. In the early stages of a ramp, the percentage of products that fail quality control the yield fallout is going to be high. The drop from 31.4 to 29.2 is just the financial cost of that learning curve.
So they are paying for their own mistakes while trying to dial in the automation.
Right, and management is projecting that as the lines stabilize, those margins will actually recover to 35% by year-end and climb to over 40% by Q4 2027.
Because they'll be using more of their high-margin internal lasers instead of external components.
Precisely. However, the stock price today leaves absolutely no room for error. It is priced for absolute, flawless perfection.
Which never happens in manufacturing.
Right. If an equipment installation is delayed by a month, or if a hyperscale customer audit drags on, or if they fail to tune those yields and the margins stay stuck in the 20s, the stock will re-rate violently downward.
Not to mention, while they have diversified away from a single customer, their top 10 customers still make up 98% of total revenue.
Yeah, if a competitor undercuts them and steals just one of those hyperscalers, the entire $2 billion projection for 2027 could collapse.
To their credit, though, the balance sheet can support the physical build-out. I mean, they are sitting on $449 million in cash against just $77 million in debt.
That's a solid cushion.
It is. They have the capital to buy the assembly machines. But, having the instruments doesn't mean you can play the symphony flawlessly at 6 times the normal tempo.
Very true. They are well capitalized, but capital cannot instantly buy manufacturing perfection. They're walking an operational tightrope.
Absolutely. So why does all this matter to you as you listen to this deep dive? Because this company serves as a perfect microscopic lens into the macro reality of the AI boom. The headlines are always dominated by software, the conversational models, the generative video. But the actual bottleneck for AI progress is physical infrastructure.
It's the hardware.
Yes. You are watching the physical nuts and bolts plumbing of the AI revolution being manufactured, tested, and shipped in real time, quarter by quarter, from a factory floor in Texas.
And, the physical constraints of that infrastructure actually lead to a provocative final thought for you to mull over. It's hinted at in the source materials notes on the future of this industry.
No, what's that?
Well, we have spent this entire deep dive analyzing pluggable optical transceivers, the modules that, plug into the edge of a server rack. But the major players, companies like NVIDIA and Broadcom, they realize that as AI clusters grow even denser, pushing an electrical signal from the GPU all the way to the edge of the board where that pluggable module sits, it consumes too much power.
The electrical travel distance itself becomes a liability.
Exactly. To solve that, the industry is already testing the next leap forward, which is called co-packaged optics, or CPO.
Okay, CPO, how does that change things?
Instead of a pluggable module at the edge of the board, the architecture moves toward building ultra-narrow, high-power indium phosphide lasers directly onto the AI silicon brain itself.
Wait, so the light is generated directly on the chip?
Yes, completely bypassing the pluggable module. And AOI's lasers are currently being qualified for this CPO shift. Moving from selling modules to selling direct-to-chip lasers is highly lucrative. It can actually generate 5 to 6 times more revenue per chip than the current model.
Wow.
And management is targeting the production of 400,000 of these CPO lasers a month by 2027.
Which leaves you with a fascinating paradox to ponder. If AOI successfully achieves that 400,000 unit target and the hyperscale industry fully embraces co-packaged optics, will the pluggable transceivers we just spent an entire deep dive discussing soon become obsolete relics of the early AI era? It's entirely possible. The very company riding the wave of pluggable optics is actively engineering the technology that will eventually destroy that specific product line.
The cycle of hardware innovation waits for no one. It is just a phenomenal case study in navigating the bleeding edge of tech infrastructure. Well, as a quick reminder as we wrap up, this deep dive is for educational purposes only. It's sourced entirely from SEC filings, earnings transcripts, and company presentations, so please do your own homework before making any financial decisions. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.